Hi, and welcome to the Spotlight Business Series. I'm Martin Bailey, and joining me today is Justin Bowen, who's a co-founder from Veto. Welcome, Justin, and thank you for taking the time out to join me today. How are you?
I'm fabulous. As we've just discussed, yeah, I am fabulous.
Now, you need to tell me why you're fabulous now, because you said it.
I'm fabulous because I'm a life lover. It's as simple as that. I'm one of those. I jump out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning and I just embrace the day. I eat incredibly well. I'm plant-based. I exercise every single day. I meditate. What else do? I stare into the sun in the morning. I make sure that I do stretching for 15 minutes. I'm in the gym every day. I've got one life and one body. That's my attitude, and I try and get as most out of both.
And when do you get time to do anything else?
Because I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's the key, you see. So I've got 2 hours of most people, if that makes sense.
It sounds fantastic. I think we've got a similar mindset there. So look, to start us off today, why don't you tell us a bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay, so my name's Justin. I'm a kind of serial entrepreneur. 3 stages to my life. First stage to my life was that I was a successful athlete, 100-meter runner. Ran for England, still hold the county record in Suffolk. Yeah.
Fantastic, congratulations.
Started that in 1986. And so, yeah, I was a successful athlete. And then at the age of 19, I decided to hang up my spikes and jump behind a bar. And then I got involved in the catering industry for the next 25 years. I ran nightclubs and bars for 15 years and then restaurants for 10 years, building brands along the way, winning many national awards. Unfortunately, by the end of it, the alcohol took control, as it does with my industry, put me on the street for 6 months where I did my rehab. I'm now 8 years sober. And since then, I've set up 3 businesses, Veto, which was Vetomeato, the pop-up gym, which is a yoga events company. And I've just launched my own business called Super Sober Life, which is about sobriety. I'm going to be a sober coach, but my main business is Veto, which is a plant-based street food company, and we work on what I call borrowed infrastructure. So we go into pubs or bars that have empty kitchens, we take them over and we do the food and they do the drinks. It was born in the pandemic. It was a quick way of helping businesses that were reliant on booze to increase their turnover during the day.
Interesting model, because being from a hospitality background myself, that was when pubs didn't do foods, times gone by. That was one of the ways that they introduced it, was used to rent their kitchen out to people to come in and actually create and do the food for them, didn't they?
Yeah. And we found, we set Veto up during the pandemic. I swore blind I'd never go back in the catering industry. Why would I? It put me on the street. So
but once you're in, you're in.
Once you're in, you're in. And I knew I had a skill set. And then it was one of these part of the journey of sobriety, is that if I was going to go back into it, I made sure that there was a business that was going to do some good for people's health and primarily for the planet. Because at the time it was COVID and everything was out of control. And it was like, look, we really need to address this issue that we have, that we're all eating way too much meat. It's not so much the amount of the meat, but it was the quality of the meat as well. So we came up with the concept of Veto, which was, I say, street food. It's based around burgers, kebabs, salads, and curries, all familiar dishes that we know, but not made with meat. As simple as that. We had a strong brand and we believed in the idea of it. We approached a place in Cambridge, which was a late night bar. We knew they had an empty kitchen. They didn't even open at lunchtime. And we said to them, look, we can create a lunchtime trade for you. Which is what we did, and we were there for over a year. It was very successful. Then we moved to another place in London, just off Oxford Street, or actually on Oxford Street. So we had Cambridge and London running at the same time, both successful, and now we're kind of transitioning with the business in order to get it to many pubs across the country. That's the idea now. So,
no, fantastic. And you're right. It's very pertinent these days around global warming, the environment, and healthier eating, and plant-based foods have come a long way.
Oh wow, yeah!
In the last 2-3 years, having eaten some plant-based foods, going, you know what? I can't really tell the difference here.
I eat meat 3 or 4 times a week. When I tell people, they look at me confused. They're like, "Well, I thought you were vegan." Yeah, but it's to me, it's meat. It tastes exactly the same. It's got the same texture. I think that's where the industry, specifically in the last 5 years, has come on leaps and bounds. I mean, there's new products coming on the market every single week, and some of them are just, they're unbelievably good. And our business was never about being vegan. We don't even use the word on the menu. In fact, the menu doesn't even mention that it's plant-based. It's just a menu with the dishes on it, and people just buy the food and eat it. And then afterwards we say, by the way, did you know that was made from peas? And then we kind of look at you and go, what? And it's like, yeah, that's made from peas, that burger you're eating. And we say to people, you know, we're about flexitarians. We're about meat reduction. That's what we are. We're not preachy. We plant a tree for every meal that we sell. Madagascar. So we tried to create a brand that was kind of, it was edgy because we wanted to get to the Gen X and we wanted to get to the millennials, which is the future, you know, and it was important that they had a brand that they could relate to. You know, a really good story behind it as well. It had to be authentic. It wasn't just created by a company. It was created by people who believe in what they're doing.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I mean, obviously, you've got a wealth of experience there, and you know, a colourful journey through life and through your career. If you were to start from square one in business again, what would you do differently, Justin?
I've given this a lot of thought, actually, and I think I've looked back over my businesses and I've said quite a few. I think the most important thing is to look where your finance comes from to start with. I would definitely, I've made some mistakes in the past with the wrong investors. So, I mean, if I was going to start again, I would make sure that the investor that I had, or the investors, were the right people and were also like-minded people and on the same journey and the same path and have the same beliefs that align with yours. Because otherwise down the line, it creates some horrific problems. And I've had major fallouts from friends over businesses. So I would also always say, looking back on it, make sure you get into bed with the right people to start with.
Okay. And how would you advise people to do that? What sort of things have you done to make sure that they are the right people for you?
I mean, I use LinkedIn a lot, but it's best to look in the industry, follow the people that are the kind of the game changers, the people that are leading the way, start to see who they're connected with, work out where they're getting their finance from. So I would say really do your research on the people that you're going to get in bed with and the businesses that you're going to get in bed with.
Okay, great. That's really good advice. Now, the other thing here is obviously if you get invested in your business and you know they're going to want a return on investment, etc. So you know the financial management of the business becomes quite important. So what advice would you give to new business owners regarding financial management?
My piece of advice would be set up a separate bank account and paying that 20% every single week. Put that VAT to one side. I mean, I'm speaking from a catering point of view, but I think there's a lot of business owners that could take that advice. And that is a biggie. That's a key one. And the other one is watch your cash flow. Cash flow. Cannot mention it enough. Again, I come from a restaurant bar industry where that cash flow was the key. And I think that if you can concentrate on those two things, your business will be in a much better state should things vary or change, as they will. You know, the business plan is great. I love business plans. I've written loads of them. None of them are right. You know, not a single one of them. I might as well pick them up and throw them in the bin. My point is this, that, you know, you may think that you're going to go on this journey, but you're going to go off a tangent. Something's going to happen, you know, be prepared for it, which is why I say always have a second bank account. Try and pay that 20% in from your turnover. Then you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's two things in there I want to explain a bit further. So cash flow, you're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, the saying goes, you know, sales are vanity, profit sanity, but cash is king.
Yeah.
So what sort of things did you do? Because I mean, it's probably an unknown fact, but actually, the majority of businesses that don't succeed are not because they're not making money; it's because they run out of money.
It's because they run out of cash.
So what things did you do to manage your cash flow? You know, what tools did you use?
Well, there was lots of planning, you know, and preparation, and, you know, having a staged, you know, your 3 months, your 6 months, your 9, your 12, having all of that in place with the cost constraints. And when you're going to spend something on capital, make sure that that's built into the projections and so forth. So I know these are really boring answers, but they're the ones that I've found.
They're not boring answers at all.
Yeah, just plan.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised a lot of people don't even think about this sort of stuff. So
yeah, I'm a big planner, and I'm a big one for preparation, and have your, I call it the second bank account, but I also have, excuse my French, but an F up fund, if you know what I mean. That's a really handy thing to have. Again, even just 2% of your turnover put away each week. When something does go wrong, and it will, having that in place, it can make such a difference. So it's about having that kind of safety net, ideally.
And I love that. Most people call it a rainy day fund, but I like your word better.
Yeah, I wasn't going to use it, but
so it's fine. So look, the other thing I would say is you talk about planning and business plans. So I want to ask you this question. I'm just intrigued what you answered. Do you think the plan or the process of planning is the most important?
I think the process of planning.
Why is that?
Because that way you can normally you can highlight the positives, but you can highlight the negatives. And I think one thing in business, especially when you're starting off, is that people very much concentrate on the positives, because that's a great thing to do. And it's a lovely side of the business. But the negatives are the things that will bring you down. And I think when you're doing the process of the planning, by concentrating on the negatives as much as the positives, don't get me wrong, but by looking for those what ifs, I think that's what will give you the security and the confidence. And that's the other thing, the confidence to move forward, so that you're not sitting there thinking, oh, what if? You've done the what ifs. There's always going to be a problem, an issue, but it gives you that kind of, a feeling of security, which is, as we know, is a rare thing in business, to feel secure. So I've always found that the process was better than the actual plan, purely because the plan was going to change.
Yeah. Well, all plans are fluid. All plans are fluid. What you set out to achieve at the end of the year may change, but it's about the ability to be fluid and change your actions to accommodate.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. It's a great. It's a real sound knowledge and advice there. So thank you for that. Let's just look at time, because time's important in business, isn't it? And and a lot of business owners, struggle or find time challenging. So have you ever had time management been a problem for you in your career?
I've got to be honest, it hasn't. I've been quite fortunate in the aspect that I think it's because I was an athlete, that I'd already, for literally, all the years I was growing up, I had this kind of dedication and this kind of motivation. But within the athletics world, again, there was an awful lot of planning. Training wasn't random. It was built over a year. And I would spend a year trying to knock 0.2 seconds off a 100-meter time. And when you think about that, that's a mad thing to get into your head. Just 0.2 seconds, an entire year's work for that small thing. So I never had a problem with time management. I think on the advice for time management, I'm going to come back to feeling fabulous. How do you create time? Well, you create time by feeling fit, by feeling healthy, by getting up earlier, by sleeping better. So actually, by creating this healthy environment and getting the most from your body and from your mind, you can create the time. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for a reason. A, I can get to the gym early, but B, I can get to my desk early. And I'm so much more productive before what I call the phone lines and the emails start coming in, which is normally about 9 o'clock time. So as far as time management goes, look at your lifestyle. And I think by promoting a healthy lifestyle and sleeping well, you'll create the time. It will actually happen. You'll become more efficient. You'll become better at doing things, and so you're creating that time there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get you're absolutely right. How you view your time and how you look after yourself does have a big impact on your mental capacity to organize your time as well.
I think speaking to other business people, I'm amazed how many times that self-care is not even mentioned. And it's like, well, listen, you're the captain of the ship, right? You've got to be in tip-top condition in order for this to work. And I think that self-care, business owners put themselves quite low down the list. And I'm all about trying to raise that one up and say, actually, no, look at yourself first. Look at your lifestyle, your environment. And you get that right, and everything else becomes a lot easier. And you'll become more successful by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice there. Great advice. So look, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, Justin?
It sounds really arrogant, but I want letters after my name.
Okay.
Yeah.
What letters do you want after your name?
Well, I mean, you're an OBE or a CBE or something like that. But
Okay.
that's my goal. In the past, my goal was always, money or success. But as I've got older, and obviously after being on the journey of sobriety, my goals have changed. And what I want to do now for the rest of my life is to be a positive person in society and to promote positive businesses. And obviously, one of the one of the things that you can get by being rewarded is to have letters after your name as a kind of recognition that you've done good for society. So actually, where I see myself in 5 years is super sober becomes successful. I become like the Tony Robbins of the alcohol world. I want to be in the room with 1,000 people and convince them that stopping drinking will be the best thing they ever do for them if they're struggling with booze.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a wellness retreat. I'd like to see Veto as a brand that has, a non-alcoholic lager attached to it, or some non-alcoholic drinks, not just plant-based street food. I'd like to see Veto Bank maybe shake up the banking system, because Veto, as I say, is a license where it needs to go into industries where we need to look at and go, are we doing this right? If not, is there a better way? And then ultimately, I'd like to have a wellness kind of complex, possibly somewhere abroad, that I could go in September and leave in March.
Yeah.
And then come back to this country.
We'd all like one of them, Justin. We'd all like one of them.
We'd all like one of those, but that's the 5-year goal. That's it, isn't it? Surely leave the shores in September and wave goodbye to Blighty, and then come back in March and go, hey, I'm back again.
The sun's shining again. I'm home.
You can see where I'm going with this one. But yeah, that's my 5-year plan. But I don't really have a 5-year plan. I'm in this now for life. The concept of me of retirement, I'm the same as the kind of Japanese. There is no word retire in my life. That's never going to happen to me. I've got too much energy, too much to give, and too much to do. So I don't look at a 5-year plan, because I'm looking at the rest of my life. I want to be life coaching and sober coaching when I'm in my 70s. Why not?
Okay, so you got some massive goals there. So what words of advice would you have for other business owners who are looking to grow, in terms of setting goals?
They're not failures. They're just learning processes. Just remember that one when you're setting off on your journey. It's not a failure.
What's not a failure? Be specific.
Anything that you perceive to be a failure. So no business is going to run smoothly. And when something goes wrong, just learn from it. Don't get hung up on it. And if you do think that you failed, it's just a learning process. I put right down here, be ready to adapt. That's another thing I would say to people. Again, with the business plan, you can think it's going to go like that, but it's not. And be ready to adapt to the changing situations. We've learned that in the last few years more than at any other time in business history. Yeah. I've put look into the future. So, I'm a great one in looking for future markets, not where we are now. Where is that product going to be in 2, 3, 5, 10 years time? Is that market emerging, or is it closing down? I put down keep fit, eat well, and sleep well. I think they're incredibly true. Hang around with like-minded people. That's a big one for me. If you're in the business world, there are lots of people who are really positive and really good. There's also lots of toxic people. Stay clear of them. Keep your group close, keep them positive. That's who you want to be hanging around with, and stay true to your path. It's your path. In the past, I've been taken away, shall we say, from my goals and my beliefs, and kind of I've let other people come in and maybe influence me when maybe I shouldn't have let them. So I would say stay true to your path. It's your business. It's your journey, and believe in it. Believe in yourself and keep believing. Is that, I don't know if you've seen that Anthony Hopkins Instagram post. It's absolutely nuts, but it's so true. Just keep believing, and it's amazing what you will come up against and get over.
Well, that belief tends to turn into manifest, doesn't it? So you start to manifest some of the things because you believe so much in them.
Yeah, I'm a great one in visualization. Always have been, always will be. I visualize a lot. I meditate every single morning, maybe for 5 to 10 minutes. If you're not into meditation, just pause between a sip of coffee, and have that moment just to bring it all down and think and get your mind ready for the day. But I'm a great believer in meditation and visualization, and it works. Sorry, but it does.
Yeah. No, absolutely. A lot of people think it's hocus pocus, but I do agree with you. It does work.
Yeah.
Look, Justin, this has been fantastic. There is absolutely thousands of golden nuggets in there for
My
business
pleasure.
and like-minded people. It's been really interesting hearing your views and your thoughts and your journey. And I would just like to thank you very much for giving up your time to come and do this with me today.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Justin. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Take care.
And you.
Bye.
Bye.